The verse of the day is Proverbs 14:30, and it says, "A peaceful heart leads to a healthy body. Jealousy is like cancer in the bones." A peaceful heart leads to a healthy body. My first thought is, okay, what's a peaceful heart? What does it feel like to have a peaceful heart? It's that rest feeling. It's that everything's okay feeling. I'm gonna be okay feeling. Even though things may not be perfect, I'm at rest. My soul is at rest. It reminds me of Isaiah 9:6, and it says, "For a child is born to us, a son is given to us, Jesus. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." So he is the one that grants us the peace. And the reason why Jesus is the one that grants us peace is because he is the antidote for the war that we are in against good and evil. Speaking of war, I looked up the definition of peace, and it says freedom from disturbance, a state or period in which there is no war or the war has ended. This is so good, because with Jesus, the war has ended in your soul, because Jesus, he won. He rose again. He defeated death. He conquered sin. And sin is what steals our peace, right? Sin is what disturbs our soul, brings us away from peace, away from true love. So when we get to pursue Jesus and we accept him into our heart, the war is over. We still are going to battle and suffer because we live in a fallen world full of sin. And we're going to be wrestling with our sinful nature. But the good news is we have the nature of God living in our heart now that finished the war. And you might be like, well, why do I feel like I'm still in a war in my mind? Why do I feel like I'm still in a war in my life? Why am I still struggling with sin? It's not to say that Jesus didn't do what he was meant to do. He did. He finished everything. He conquered sin. Sometimes our struggle is just an avenue for us to learn the more of God, to learn how God can fill us with more peace, because it's a journey of getting to know him, right? It's a journey of becoming more obedient, becoming more like him. He is the Prince of Peace that teaches us how to embody that. And we still have free will, right? We still have our old nature. We still have things of this world alluring us, and we still have the enemy after our mind every day. So he's going to try to start war in our mind, but we get to ignore it and maintain our peace because we have authority over any lie that the devil tries to feed you. So if you think about your mind as the battleground, we have bulletproof protection because of Jesus. The more we get to know him, the more the shots of the enemy are going to bounce off, because we're going to be confident in who we are. So we're able to protect our peace and maintain it even when bad things happen in our world, or even when our circumstances don't look good, because our peace comes from within. And if our peace comes from within and it comes from Jesus, no one can take that from you. Nothing and no one can take that from you. You may have to learn how to change your perspective, how to not feed into lies in the midst of us not getting what we want, or in the midst of heartache and tragedy. But every time you go back to Jesus, you can get back to that peaceful state. He can actually calm and settle your soul when it does not make sense. I love the analogy of peace explaining how the war is over, how there's no more conflict, because that is your reality the more you pursue Jesus, because he's the Prince of Peace. He's the author of your life. He actually created a spot in your heart, in your body, in your heart, that needs him to fill it. And so when you accept Jesus into your heart, he's able to fill that spot that only he could ever fill, because only he has power over sin. So the more we spend time with the Prince of Peace, the more his peace surrounds us, starts to look like us, the more we start to look like him. And what happens with peace is it filters into everything. When you don't have peace, when you have depression, anxiety, worry, fear, that is debilitating to your body. It causes a lot of harm. Stress leads to almost every single sickness. I think stress is a symptom of every single thing that goes wrong with our body. And when we learn how to navigate that and lower it and maintain our peace, it actually starts to manifest through our body. Our body's at rest because we're maintaining peace rather than constantly being stressed And when we're stressed, you name it can happen. Sickness, disease, doing things that we'll regret, ruined relationships. Stress causes us to do a lot of things because it says we need to hurry up and figure it out. And the reason why Jesus disarms stress, or he can help us disarm stress, because it's not like the moment you accept Jesus, the stress is gone. It's not like a magic pill that you take. It's a journey of learning how to maintain peace, learning how to become more like him. But the latter steals your peace because it says you need to fix everything that's wrong within your soul. So if you're feeling stress, worry, anxiety, fear, etc., you're communicating to yourself that you have to figure out how to get rid of that and fix it, when that's not possible. Because the only person that can actually disarm all of that, disarm the lies of the enemy, disarm fear and sin, is Jesus. And he gives that peace that surpasses all understanding because he has power over all of those lies. It says jealousy is like cancer in the bones. When I think about any time I've been jealous, it's a horrible feeling. It's not a loving feeling. It's a very selfish feeling. And that's why it's sin. Because all sin is linked to stripping of love. Because the motive of all of the commandments of God is love. The motive behind all sin is a lack of love. Beside the obvious fact of why jealousy isn't good, it's not loving your neighbor well, it's communicating to yourself that what's for you can be taken. It's communicating that what someone else has is a threat into you and your destiny and what God has for you and what your life looks like, which also communicates your lack of trust in God. Because it says, God, where you have me right now and what you have for me right now, I don't trust that it will be. I trust that it can be taken from me or that you're giving it to someone else. And it disconnects you from remembering that God is the leader and the driver of your life. So when you really sit with God and get honest about your jealousy and you say, Lord, help me to get rid of this jealousy. Lord, help me to remember what's for me will be. Lord, help me to trust your plan for my life. Help me to remember that I have everything that I need because I have you, and everything I need comes from you. And the moment you're able to really rewire your brain and you get that perspective of God again, it settles your soul because it reminds you that you're not lacking any good thing and that you're right where God has you. So there's nothing to worry about because God is continuing to guide you on the path that's for you. Today's verse reminds us to look inward and ask ourselves, where are we lacking peace? Where are we allowing sin to fluster, whether it's jealousy, unforgiveness, that might be causing damage from the inside out? And that's just an area where we get to bring it to God, ask him for help, and he will walk you through it. Okay?